James.
Sandy.
Alyssa.
Michael.
Melinda.
Derek.
And I'm Madison Mativer. Imagine yourself at your house telling your parents goodbye before their anniversary vacation. You hug, say goodbye, and make your way back into the house and lock the door behind you. Hours have passed and you're getting ready for bed, and after a few hours of sleep, you suddenly come out of a deep sleep to the sound of breaking glass and footsteps in your kitchen. This is it. Someone is here. You jump out of bed and dart to your closet to get your gun for defense. You slowly walk out of the bedroom and soon come face to face with the burglar. They see you, then they see your gun, then they run. What would have happened if you didn't have a gun? Would they have ran and left you unharmed? Guns help prevent crime, and they are the most effective form of self-defense. Crime rate is continuing to skyrocket, and it is very important for us to be prepared for the worst and able to protect ourselves. Having a gun while experiencing one of these situations could ultimately be a life or death situation, or life and death decision. I'm going to give you many statistics on burglaries, assaults, and many other crimes that could be avoided if a defense weapon had been present. I'm going to also talk about our constitutional right to owning a gun and how it should not be taken away from us. I too will be explaining how taking guns away would destroy our country, not protect it. The number of violent crimes committed across the country was up the first half of 2015 compared with the same period a year earlier. With increases seen across the country and spanning different types of crimes, the numbers of murder, rapes, and assaults and robberies were all up over the first 6 months of 2015. Overall, violent crime was up 1.7% according to the FBI, and these statistics prove that we need to be aware and equipped for all of these things to happen. Murder rates are higher in the U.S. than any other country, such as Europe, Japan, or even Canada. With murder rates up very high, there has to be something done to deter these things from happening. Hence the reason of having a defense weapon. We have to be able to protect ourselves. There were an estimated 1,165,383 violent crimes, murder and non-negligent homicides, rapes and robberies, and aggravated assaults reported by law enforcement. Aggravated assaults accounted for 63.6%. Robberies accounted for 28%, rape at 7.2%, and murders at 1.2%. There were an estimated 8,277,829 property crimes reported by law enforcement last year. If that doesn't urge you to stay protected, then what will? I want you to think back to the hypothetical situation I had you imagine at the beginning of my speech. What if someone had broken into your home? And what if you didn't have the option to have a gun? How would you protect yourself? It is stated in the Constitution that we have the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment specifically. Due to the recent mass shootings, there are opinions being acquired that there should be more restrictions on guns and how we get them. The GOA states that the Founding Fathers clearly stated that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, a right so important that they also spoke in terms of the whole population being the militia. Many of our laws on guns are already going against the Constitution, and that is something that is stated specifically not to do. In January of 2016, Obama announced a new movement on gun control. This movement will bypass Congress and strip away guns from law-abiding citizens. Elements of the executive order will even unjustly strip some Social Security recipients of their Second Amendment rights. It will also likely violate the separation of powers and will probably create a de facto law without the consent of Congress that attempts to prosecute American citizens under the new mandates that have already been rejected by Congress. Let that sink in for a moment and allow me to tell you the story about a CNN anchor, Lynn Russell, and her husband. One night on June 30th, Lynn went into her hotel room to grab a few things. As she went in the door, she was pushed on the bed and held there at gunpoint by a burglar. Her husband, Chuck DeCaro, was in the shower and emerged out of the bathroom trying to protect his wife. While doing so, Lynn had time to get her purse and give it to her husband, and he was able to get the gun out and end up killing the burglar. And Chuck finally ended the gunfight after being shot 5 times. In an interview, Lynn stated that there is nothing to debate on guns. Rather, the clear lesson is having a gun saved her and her husband's life. If an individual is a criminal, they will find a way to have a gun, legal or not. It's not about them. It's about the rights we have as Americans. Taking away our protection will destroy us, not defend us. Guns are used 2.5 million times a year in self-defense. Statistics show that law-abiding citizens use guns 2.5 million times every year to protect themselves from harm. That is about 6,850 times a day. So what would happen if we didn't have the protection? We would not be safer. We would be more prone to attack. Of the 2.5 million times citizens use their guns to defend themselves each year, the overwhelming majority merely brandish their gun or fire a warning shot to scare off their attackers. In Kennesaw, Georgia, this suburb of Atlanta passed a law requiring heads of households to keep at least one firearm in the home. The residential burglary rate subsequently dropped 89% in Kennesaw, Georgia, compared to the modest drop of 10.4% in Georgia as a whole. Letting our guard down makes us all more vulnerable. Taya Kyle, Chris Kyle's wife, speaks about this. Understandably, we want a solution to ensure that we and our loved ones will never be in a situation of being caught unaware by someone who chooses to do evil. Mass killers have targeted churches, businesses, movie theaters, schools, and hospitals, but they could easily take their violence to a place where people are armed, yet they do not. Guns don't kill people, people kill people, and it's our right as Americans to protect ourselves. Statistics show and prove that it's important to have the right to bear arms. With our rights being protected under the Constitution, they should continue to stay that way. And taking away our guns will not help the rate depreciate. It will make us all vulnerable to criminals. We need to stick to our guns as a nation and continue to protect ourselves and the people that we love.